Hello everybody, it's me, Springweb, back here with a new What If. This is What If Deku was the son of a villain. Okay, everybody has probably been wondering why I haven't been uploading for like the past couple of months. See, I got COVID, not like straight, like right after I stopped recording. That was just because I wanted to take a little break. I got it quite recently, which is right around when I was thinking of like doing this video. Yeah, let's begin. So, Izuku is the son of this being Hasashi, this being him in his awakened form. His powers include fire manipulation, shadow manipulation, and blood manipulation. All these abilities were passed down onto Izuku right as he was born. His powers are not a quirk. He got these given to him when he was stumbling around some stuff, and he found this ancient artifact that awakened a evil god that then went inside his body, and him getting the powers of that god. Izuki, when he got Inko pregnant, before that they had another kid, being a daughter. This being Izumi. Her being like 5 years older than Izuku, her growing up to be a great hero. So when Izuku was born, was born with red hair and very pale skin, and these black markings across his body. That whenever he started crying, they would start glowing this crimson red, as you can see in this image right here. Izuku having every single ability that his father has, but as he grows up, his powers being amplified more and more and more. At the right over age of 4, not 4. During when he was 3, not 3, when he was still like a baby, this would be around when his father would become a villain. Inko, thinking that he didn't want Izuku to be anything like his father, so she went to someone who could create these bands, like kind of like Shadow's inhibitor rings, but them being somewhat invisible, going around his upper arm, like around here. These would inhibit his powers, so he would have green hair and have natural toned skin, and the markings on his arms would go away. Him growing up being scared of his powers, knowing that his father was a villain. This leading him to look up to All Might because he wants to be a great hero like him. So, things that I've changed in this. Katsumi, as in Katsuki, is a girl. And, during middle school, he met a girl who became his friend, who stopped people from bullying him. Also, something that I forgot to mention, that Izumi has a strong telekinesis quirk. Her not having any, like, the fire trope. Izuku got the fire, shadow, and blood part. Him already having a fire breathing quirk. This not going on to Izumi at all. Thing that I didn't mention before, when Hasashi got his powers, his hair stayed black, but had hints of red going throughout it. Also, another thing that I forgot to mention as a child, from Mizuki's childhood, the scars on his face were caused by his father. The three on the side here, are from when his father went for a scratch on his eye. These two on the other side here are ones from when he summoned grabbed a knife and slashed at him. Him having some trauma from this, resulting. Also, another thing that I didn't mention: Izuku had odd-colored eyes. He having the purple with red pupils, and red with purple pupils. Um, okay, let's get back to him in middle school. Um, During middle school, as I said, Izuku met someone who stopped him from being bullied. This being a girl, her name being Armory. Her having purple hair, and her quirk would be she has the ability to control energy that she has inside of her body. She can manipulate this energy to any extent, kind of like Ki. She also having a minor strength factor. After that, her and Izuku became friends. So another thing, Izuku um didn't train at all until up until middle school. When he met her, um he got some confidence, and he started training, making his body more toned. This having somewhat of an effect, until one, also them having a really good friendship. Katsumi, still bullies him, and she bullied him as a child because she did have a crush on him. This going up until middle school, and yeah, up until when they graduate middle school, going to high school. Them staying friends until then. Until, and as I usually have in my what ifs, UA is a college in this. So, Izuku continually getting more and more confident up until the point where there's not really any more of the old Izuku. And, yeah. So, when they went to high school, in the final year, Izuku was, and, Armory, we're at like a mall. Yeah, a mall. And one of Izuku's tormentors from high school, this being a guy, like a random guy that just started picking on Izuku. Up until the point where Izuku fights back and starts relentlessly punching the guy in the face, up until the point where he has a bloody nose and his face is almost fully covered in blood. Him having a sadistic smile on his face, his hands being covered in blood. As he gets up and sees Armory's face being shocked and terrified, him realizing what he did and seeing glimpses of his father, like going throughout his head. And as I said, she having a shocked face. Izuku trying to go up to her and explain what happened, with her just denying him and walking away. From the rest of the year up until the point of everybody, like the teacher, throwing out, it's like saying like where everybody's going. Then when they get to Izuku, everybody just goes silent. And yeah, so during the 10 months, he does meet All Might. He did save Katsuka from the sludge villain. It did attack him, but then All Might interfered, and yeah, Izuku did latch onto him. All Might realizing whose kid it was. Yeah. And All Might taking him under his wing until the point where, by the time of the UA entrance exam, he's like 19, 19, and his sister being 24. Her being a quite established hero, being able to get, Inko and Izuku a good house. By the, around the 5-month mark of the training, All Might does give one for all to Izuku. him giving him the full explanation of how it started. Um, with Izuku being shocked and understanding it. When he actually gets the quirk, he does some thinking and he meditates for a bit, trying to calm his mind since after the whole incident, um, him trying to regulate his emotions. With this having somewhat of an effect up until the point where he goes into One for All. Him seeing the first vestige that Izuku sees. Um, uh, with him going out of it, telling All Might what he saw. And yeah, so with a couple weeks going by, Izuku getting full mastery over it, learning not shoot style, learning full cowl. Him thinking of this straight away, but trying to figure out what percentage he can use. He can use roughly 16% of One for All in full cowl. But after that, Izuku thinks that All Might would be a good suit for Inko. Him setting them up on a date. With them going on the date and enjoying themselves. With All Might asking Inko if Izuku has any other features of his father. With Inko explaining that at a young age Izuku had got a dampener on his powers. Them being not a quirk, so they had to find out some way to nullify them. It being the band being like an impulse to his head. And with All Might convincing Inko to not hold Izuku back, saying that he needs anything or everything to learn. With All Might saying that he most likely will be able to master his powers in a couple weeks. With Inko being hesitant, and then she gives Izuku permission to take the band off. His hair turning red, his eyes going back to their normal color as the markings appear on his arms. As they're black, and also during the whole span of his life, he did get these piercings. Just a random thing that I added in. So since he has relatively good control over his emotions, he uses anger mixed with sadness to fuel up, to power up. Him learning that when he takes it off, him feeling this kick of energy. This being the part of him that was nullified. The power continuing on from the fire, blood, and shadow manipulation. The fact that he has blood manipulation just adds a hyper regeneration and gives him unlimited blood. Whenever he loses blood, it just doubles and keeps coursing it through his veins, so he doesn't die. With Izuku learning that since he can manipulate blood, he learns how to create weapons, and the first thing that he decides to create is a small dagger. Him honing this until he can create large weapons like a sword and a scythe. Them being his two main weapons, as well as using him having a pocket knife on him at all times, so then he can use a very exhausting move, but it's extremely powerful. It's when he cuts either one of his arms open straight down, opening up blood as the blood covers his arm and forms this glove, which having a demon face, with it being able to harness the fire and blood part and create fire blood like balls that he can shoot at will. Since he can manipulate blood, he can actually levitate people off the ground, being able to move the body in people to make them like do stuff like blood bending, but to a more extreme extent. When he uses his shadow manipulation, he can go into his shadow and appear out of someone else's. And if he's in his shadow, like goes into the shadow realm, he can beat people's shadow up, this affecting them in like the real plane. Yeah. Come the day of the UA entrance exam, Izuku has his inhibitor ring on, and so him having like green hair, him having green eyes, and not having the marks on. Something that I also should mention, the guy that got beat up befriended Katsuka and Armory, with him hating that guy so much to the point that there's like this permanent image. I mean, image going through his head of him, screwing them, because he did develop feelings for Armory. And some for Katsuka. So when during the whole like theoretical exam, he does like stink, and he is listening to music throughout the entire thing with having one off. With just so that I can make this easier for myself, the guy that Izuku beats up is gonna be Ida. He has a permanent grudge on Ida. And for another reason, when during the whole like last part of the during like the whole 10 months of training, he met Ochako, with them like starting to date, but yeah, dating, up until like around like the 6th month, until he caught her kissing Ida, with this leading them to break up, as Izuku just like buries those feelings deep down into his subconscious, as he's wearing this on the entrance exam. Something I should mention, at 19, he's at a height of around 9'10", him being taller than anybody there, him usually like slouching to make him like a regular height. But as it comes to the actual practical part of the entrance exam, Izuku takes off the inhibitor ring, crushing it in his hands as his hair turns back to green, and his eyes turn to his actual color eyes, and the markings appear. As something that I also didn't mention, his teeth sharpened to a point, scaring everybody there, as his hands get engulfed in flames, as well as his feet, as well as he gets surrounded by a red lightning. In this state, he can use around 25% of One For All. When the gate, like a slim part of the gate opens, he dashes out, smashing robot to robot to robot. And with a couple minutes going by, as in like the observatory, with like the student observatory, this being like a set of students like one by one, with Katsuka, Ida, Ochako, and Amari watching as Izuku obliterates robots, as Ida's just like thinks in his head, how the hell did this asshole get so strong? As they see as Izuku starts getting that sadistic smile that he had that day, as his teeth are strong, them being at a point, up into a point where Ochako isn't in the ring, and neither is Ida. I mean, they're in the stadium with Izuku. I know I'm getting confused. I haven't done this in a while. with um Ida um um watching as Izuku obliterates robots, up until the point where some villains decide to show up as Izuku's smile becomes wider. As in the observatory, his sister Inko and All Might are watching. As All Might says in the into the intercom, every student run except Izuku Midoriya. As Izuku yells to the looks at the like observation booth, as he yells back to All Might, thanks. As during this, during everybody running away, everybody just stares at Izuku, wondering why All Might let him stay. As Izuku starts levitating the villains off the ground. This being when the zero pointer comes in and Ochako screams because her leg is sprained. As he pins the two villains in the air and holds them there, with him creating a blood scythe. Him spinning this around, like using it as like a somewhat of a shield, as he throws that at the zero pointer's head, as his body turns into like pure blood as he manifests from the scythe. With him then using one for all and punching the robot in the face, it like doing what he did in the anime, as he goes back down to the ground and pulls the robot off of Ochako, him scoffing at her as he holds the villains there so that the authorities can take them away. As Izuku puts on his headphones and a mask. This mask being a gift from Armory that she got him on his birthday. Him always having it on him, being something dear to him. As he walks out and sees his sister and Inko in front of a limousine. I'm pretty sure that's what those long cars are called. Can't remember for the life of me. Yeah, them congratulating Zuko on how well he did, and Izumi says that she's extremely proud of him, with Izuku thanking her and getting into the car. As this is going on, this being like at the end of the whole entire thing, everybody having their go, everybody being observed, Izuku getting the highest amount of points, going above All Might. As when Izuku's going into the car, Ida, Ochako, Katsumi, and Armory are just starstruck at like what Izuku did. As Armory recognizes the mask and remembers all the good times that they had. Them being like really good friends, like her like remembering like the feelings that she had towards him, them being like love feelings, as she remembers all the good times. As we cut to Izuku in his room training, him doing like sprints, him living in like a mansionish type of thing, him doing sprints, one arm push-ups for both arms, chin-ups, setups, like a whole bunch of exercises, improving his body. As it gets to nighttime, as he starts meditating again. As he goes back into the All For One mindset, seeing all the vestiges, as all of them are looking at him, with them introducing themselves. I don't know any of the One For All vestiges names. So with them telling Izuku all about their quirks, being Danger Sense, Float, Smoke Screen, Black Whip, and as the one that kind of looks like Katsuki is like well, not saying anything. I mean, since we don't know his quirk, and I don't want to say what his quirk is, considering I don't know it. As he just shuns Izuku. As Izuku asks them why are they telling him this, with them saying that he can most likely use their quirks. As Izuku comes out of the mine of the Vistage World, as he tries to use float, him floating off the ground like a couple centimeters, him trying to use Black Whip to grab like a coffee mug from his desk, him trying to use smoke to like create a little like ball of smoke in his air, and well, then not being a real way to test if like danger sense. And the one that I forgot was Fajin. Him trying to use like a little finger flick. This him not actually using any of One for All, just using the kinetic energy that he stored up over the time, as he flicks and a little like gust of air goes out. Him this being like a really light flick. As he goes to sleep. As a week goes by with Izuku training those quirks and training his body, up until the point where now in his regular state, well now since this is his regular state, him being able to use around 37% of One for All. As he gets the letter from UA saying that he got in with a whopping score of 756. As they congratulate him for destroying All Might's score. As Izuku tells his family, as well as All Might, with Izuku thanking All Might for not telling him that he got in. With another week going by, him getting the suit, the suit, since it is a suit, as he goes to his first day of classes, as he rips off the sleeves of it, and like when he first got it, he rips off the sleeves and adds a hoodie onto it. As he walks to school, as also considering the fact that Izuku wants to be somewhat independent, him hiding him hiding his face, him having a somewhat singing career. This being because of a result of something that happened in middle school that I didn't bring up because it didn't really matter at the time. As he also having a little hobby being like skateboarding. Him as let's go into that little detail about the thing that happened in middle school. During middle school, everybody had to join a club. Izuku wanting to just looking at all like the clubs, seeing that there was a music club. Him having a interest in music, considering he likes music in most of my what ifs. As he goes for a singing role. Him becoming a really good singer. This being before the whole beating Armory. As he becomes really good friends with everybody in the club. Up until the point where one of the people in the club has a mind reading quirk. Them reading his mind, seeing that he has all these thoughts of saying that they wouldn't be able to be able to win a competition that they were going for, because he was the only singer of the entire thing. With them kicking him out of the group, him losing those friends, which is why during middle school, this being the most traumatic thing that he went through. Those not being actually his thoughts, those being what that guy said out was just saying, so then they kick him out since he personally didn't like Izuku. So that him losing those friends, as him getting bullied by them after that, as he then does transfer to this being a school different from Armory and Kartuka. them being at the same school, him moving to that school after this entire incident, them because of them bullying him. And also during that, he did gain some confidence, from doing the singing, up until the point where the guy frames him. And yeah, so as he's walking, well, no, actually, he's skating to school. He usually just hides his face, because he is also a singer. As yeah. So when they hear first against the class, he's glad about, he sees like the height of the door, him like going actually to him, un un well, crouching, since he usually crouches a lot, and goes to his natural height. As he opens the door, everybody looking towards him, having to look up to see his face. As he goes to the back seat and continues to listen to music. As Amri, Katsuka, Ida, and Ochako go up to him, as Yuzuki tells them to all piss off, that he doesn't want to have to deal with them today, as he puts his music on full volume, with these being like people dubbing his songs, being like proud of like how well he's doing, as well as some songs from like other people. When Aizawa shows up with him in like treating on the fact that Ida is trying to like pick on Izuku, and like asking him questions like how the hell did he get like quirk, as that's when Aizawa shows up, being in his sleeping bag, coming out of it, and telling everybody to get into their school sports uniform. As when Izuku tries to put on his, it's too tight. It being like skin tight. The sleeves like go up to like his shoulder. I mean, not his shoulder, his knee. I mean, his elbow. As he goes out to Aizawa, saying that the one that he got doesn't fit. Putting on his school uniform. As Aizawa just throws in the ball, saying that you got the highest score of 700 and whatever I said before. As he throws the ball, him enhancing his body with one for all, and throwing since he is able to manipulate blood, him sending like a lot of blood pressure through his arm, being able to use a little bit more of one for all, as well as he also uses Far Jin. As he throws the ball, this breaking the sound barrier, because when in the manga, this being a manga spoiler, he can run a block in a second with 45%. In this one, he has a power, and he can amplify that beyond. Just saying, the 36% that he can use at the moment is equivalent to regular Izuku using around 80% of one for all. Him being heavily buffed in this, him also doing training on the side, which does also enhance his body. But because he's the son of Hisashi at the time, him being possessed by an evil god, him being a demigod. Yeah, as the arm that he throws the ball with turns red. Something that I didn't mention before, the patterns on his arms go from his arms all the way down to the end of his spine, with it starting at his spine, going up and up and up until it splits off into each of the arms. As everybody is shocked, this going into the space, up until the point where Aizawa's machine just says error. As everybody just is awestruck as they continue on with all the tests, and Izuku getting first place in this. And yeah, this is going to be where I will end this part. Hopefully you enjoyed, and if you want to see more of this what if, say it. Goodbye, and hopefully you enjoy this one. Good day, good night, good evening.
Goodbye.